one my son just in college playing. Hello.
Hi. He plays the guitar, right? Or
Yeah, he plays a lot, but guitar is one of them, yeah.
because I remember for Glennis's.
Yes,
Memorial.
she was playing piano.
Oh, okay. I couldn't go because I have had another event, but yeah, I know. He.
Yeah, he did. She played piano. And then, yeah, he's a classically trained pianist. He also is a really good Appalachian fiddler, which is like completely different from.
That's like
Yeah,
this, right? No.
yeah, violin.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That sounds like a very niche skill.
It
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just has been going to Appalachian music festivals, and his wife is really into it. He's been going to Appalachian music festivals since he's like 2 years old. And
There's a folk life festival here in DC.
Folklife Festival.
Yeah.
You mean the thrown by the Smithsonian?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, big on the mall, right?
Yeah, has he?
Tons of stuff.
Because I know
He's gone to a different place.
he hasn't played because like a few years ago, maybe like 2 years ago, the theme was like, or one of the themes was like the Appalachian.
Yes.
And there were a ton of like musicians and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, how are you? Has it? I bet it has. Oh my gosh, is this your 5th appearance? Oh. Okay. Okay. Well, it is 5 o'clock, so, or maybe it's 5 o'clock in 20 seconds, something.
2 minutes.
Oh.
5:02.
Oh, wait, it's 5:02 now. Yeah, okay. Well, what I meant was, we should introduce you and have you think. John isn't here yet, but it doesn't matter, so.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Well, so I've introduced myself to some of you who were here 5 minutes ago, but I'm Bob Branice. I am the co-director of the IT program. Oh, and here comes my other co-director, John Whalen. And we would like to start by welcoming you. And we'll get into a more extensive welcome in a moment. But I'd first like to introduce you to Jermaine Leahy, who is here passing out her business cards to everyone in Trinity, who is the current IP librarian. So she, and not to keep her any later than she needs to be here, we thought we would introduce you and you say a few words, and then you can be on your way and you'll proceed with the rest of the program. So.
Yeah, so my name is Jermaine Leahy, and I'm the interim. I'm working with the IT program in the library. So we have subject specialists in the library that support the LLM program here at the law school. So if you're working on a paper, I'm hoping to be able to organize a library orientation for you guys. I did this last year and it worked really well. I'm hoping to be able to find some time. So what that means is it would be, you bring your laptops, I get a room, I like to do it in person, but I can do it over Zoom, and see if we can't find a date and time the very beginning of the semester. And I take you on a virtual tour, doing some sample searches, looking at some of the tools that are available in the IP area, as well as generally how to find your way around the library and the research tools that we have. The library has things like chargers. If you forget, you need to charge your phone, if you need to charge your laptop, basic things like that as well. So course reserve material, faculty member puts material on course reserve, you find it in the library and so on. So stay tuned. Do you guys have a list of their email addresses?
We will.
Okay.
I have a site sheet, and there's sometimes a little fluctuation.
Yeah.
Because students are deciding
Which specialty?
which specialty, so they're kicking the tires and testing us out.
Sure, sure.
But we should, Andrew usually has it up and running quite early next week.
Okay.
But I'm happy to work with you on finding a time for them. Probably Friday is really good, you know, because they have classes.
Yeah,
And so why don't you take this?
Okay.
And send me an email early next week.
okay.
We have a fundamentals class on Friday, is that right? Yes.
Not everyone.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Shanaz and find out, the time.
Yeah, so, so I'll try and get that, and that will,
I suggest you go in person. It's a beautiful library, there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of study areas too. It's really, the library's transitioned in
Yeah.
the last 5
yeah,
years.
we have some collaborative space, we have study rooms.
Yeah, and there's a lot of comfortable, there was a lot of books in the library, not as much study space. Now there's a lot of study space in the
And we
library.
have a lot of ebooks now.
Yeah.
I mean, with COVID and everything being gone
That's all,
electronic.
right.
So, and I'm also available for individual consultations. So as you move on in your studies and you have seminar papers to do or whatever.
Which you all have.
Yeah.
You can make appointments. The good news is that we have hired someone for the IP librarian position, and she will be starting October 1.
Great.
And so she will be transitioning, but just know that I'm here and I'll be starting with orientations and so on, okay?
Thank you. Excellent.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you so much.
And so Claudia can leave as well. She works till 5. She's here.
Yeah.
Just to, I wanted to introduce the IP program assistant, Claudia Delgado. And she is a graduate of the law school as well. And she's from Puerto Rico. Went to Syracuse undergrad. And she kind of helps a couple different areas. She helps IP.
Environmental and
Government.
government procurement.
Yeah. And but she's very helpful. She sits on the 4th floor over
Not
by,
too far from my office.
Not too far from
Not
function.
knowing where that is, but you'll figure it out soon enough.
in the corner of the building, 4th floor, on the other side of the workroom. And she sits there with her colleague,
Yeah, Ying Zidai.
Ying
She's the, She-
different.
she manages the other programs.
Yeah.
But we both manage all the
Right,
other.
but we were counting up, among the things Claudia does, it helps us with a lot of things, including our events. We have 8 IP-related events
This semester.
this semester, which is a lot. So when you come to the lunch, we'll explain some of the events we'll have today. You'll get an email about it once we have your emails next week. Nothing's happening until after Labor Day, so you don't have to worry. And Claudia is responsible for getting the food and the AV, and so please be appreciative while she's
And
here.
the posters that tell you like where it is.
Yeah.
Everything.
And the coordinating with the guest speaker and doing the reimbursements. So we wanted to introduce you to her and show our appreciation for her. But she's at the end of her day as well, so we don't need to keep her around to hear about the LLM.
Yeah, and I guess you guys can connect with me via Dean Whalen. He can also send me you guys' email if you would.
Yeah, I can send everybody, once I have the emails, I can send out the email, Claudia's email to everybody. She's not your assistant. She's the IP program's assistant. But she does do a lot of work that impacts you, and I want to.
I will help you guys with anything that you
So
guys.
she was on campus today. Yeah, you know, if you need a room reserved because you're meeting with some other student, she could help show you how to do that. You know, there's a lot of things that she's helpful with.
Meetings with you. Also.
Yeah, office hours.
Yeah.
She runs my schedule on office hours, so I don't have to deal with all the emails. So anyway, thank you for coming, and
Yeah.
say goodbye.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Okay, so we thought, I'm gonna pass out 2 things. One is a sign-up sheet, and it just helps us get used to, oh, you don't have to. We'll introduce you in a second. You look like you could be a student.
First time that's happened today.
And then I'm gonna pass out course grid, and we'll get to this in a little bit. We need one. pass them around. This is a list of all the IP courses. I didn't put them in a Word document with a list down the front. I'll do that next week. We move courses around and change them a little bit, so it's hard to keep track. But that's an unofficial IP grade. We'll go over that in a few minutes. But why don't we introduce ourselves and then welcome you, and Bob has an opening that he's used several times that I think is kind of cool. And then we'll share it with the rest of you.
Yeah, well, so I have preliminarily introduced myself to those of you who are in the room a little bit before 5. But, I'm Bob Brownice. I've gotten several messages today on LinkedIn because apparently LinkedIn is publicizing that it's my 30th work anniversary.
Wow.
Thank you. I know what you were clapping for. It's like, wow, you're old. But indeed, I have been here for 30 years, and I started out actually not teaching copyright and trademark law. I started out teaching more real property and land use law. But then the kind of .com era and internet era came, and I said, land law is boring. There's got to be something more interesting out there. And it turned out that I moved into copyright and trademark, and I've never looked back.
You had the former Register of Copyright ask you if you wanted to co-teach with them.
I did. I started teaching copyright law. I started co-teaching copyright law here with Ralph Oman, who was who had been the head of the Copyright Office, and that was huge fun, and it's still huge fun, and so I am very happy to have done that and to be here. I grew up in Chicago, and I then went to the West Coast for undergrad. I got my BA at the University of California in Santa Cruz, and then I went to the Northeast, to Boston. I got my law degree from Harvard. I clerked for 2 judges, one of whom was a Supreme Court justice, and
the second one who became
the second one became a Supreme Court justice after
Justice Breyer and Souter.
And then I worked at the city of Chicago, the law department for a little while, and then I came here. And so that's pretty much my story. No, it's not. There's a lot of other story, but can't say it all right now. So I think that's sort of an introduction to.
And you're fluent in German.
To me, yeah. Well, my wife is German.
Tell them how you met.
Which helps with fluency. We met in the youth hostel in Cambridge. It turns out that I don't know if you've been to youth hostels, but in a lot of youth hostels, you can either, if they have like a little cafeteria there, you can either choose to just have a meal at the cafeteria, or you can make your own meal in the kitchen. And I found out that a much better way to meet people was to make your own meal in the kitchen. Because then you were working together, and you passed things. So that was how I met her many years ago. And yeah, I want to welcome all you to this program. I think every year this program is not just the courses and the studying, it's a whole bunch of experiences of how many of you have lived in Washington, D.C. before this year? Right, so nobody. So, one, okay. All right, so one of you has, right? But I mean, it is a whole new experience of maybe a new city for most of you, a new community, and it's going to be a lasting community. I mean, you would be surprised. You think, oh, this is just a year. I know LLM students that I met 30 years ago, and they are now, at the height of their careers, and it's wonderful to have friends around the world. There's nowhere that I can travel these days except Antarctica. I haven't been there, which doesn't have people I know in it, and that's an absolutely wonderful experience for me. And you'll get to know each other. You'll become part of this community. So that just means this is always one of the happiest days of the year for me. That meeting you know, I'm meeting a new generation of folks that we're going to add to this community, and that's what makes me very happy to be here. So with that, I will turn it over to Dean Whalen.
Yeah, so I'm John Whalen, and I want to welcome you. You should all give yourself a round of applause for sitting in this room today. I'm sure it was a big decision. I'm sure it took a lot of work. Visas, applications, travel, finding an apartment, and much, much more. So we really are thankful, and I really do mean that, that you took the challenge and you did everything you had to do to just be sitting in the room here today. And a little background about me. I grew up in New York. I've lived or gone to school up and down the East Coast, Northeast, Boston, Philly, New York, and DC. That should be an ad for the Amtrak Northeast Corridor, which I've taken many times because I don't drive a car. But I went to undergraduate at Villanova University. I got 2 engineering degrees there and Drexel, worked for an engineering company for a little while. I also went to Harvard, probably a little after you. I was 90, you were?
89.
89, so we didn't know each other. We both probably took the single only IP course that Harvard taught, copyright law, which has nothing to do with I do, because I do patent law. They don't have a patent law course, they didn't at least. And after I graduated, I went to a firm, clerked for 2 judges, Court of Federal Claims here in DC, and Judge Rader, who's the retired Chief Judge of the Federal Circuit. And then I worked in the government for most of the next 15, 17 years. The ITC, we have a course on that. At the PTO,
Which is the International Trade.
International Trade Commission, at the Patent and Trademark Office, we have a course related to that. I guess there's a theme here. We have a course on the Federal Circuit, where I clerked. And I worked on Capitol Hill for a year in the Senate Judiciary Committee, working on legislation. And then this job opportunity was created. It didn't even exist before.
Correct.
And a few people sent me the email, and I was fortunate enough to be the first Associate Dean for IP Law at GW, and I don't think there's another Associate Dean for IP in the country. And it's because our program is so big. So Baba is generous. He helps run it with me, and we both run it. And you'll see a lot of pieces of it. We'll spin through a couple today. You're getting a little overwhelmed, is my guess. It's late in the week. You've had a lot of orientations. This is just to whet your appetite, introduce people, and you can follow up in the next week or 2. We'll go over the courses a little bit, but I've been here for 16 years, and it's a lot of fun. And personally, the most rewarding thing is the students. Not just you right now, but in the last couple days, I've talked to alumnus, I've gone to weddings, then Christoph had his 4th child, you know, you become friends. And the other thing is, you're not coming at 18. You've all gone to school already, some of you have worked, and I respect that a lot, because I think you know a lot that I don't know, and we'll try to teach you some stuff. And lastly, you know, put what you're doing in context. You have all decided to come to a foreign country, most of you at least, to learn in a language for many of you isn't your first language, and not just law, but intellectual property law, which is pretty complex. I couldn't do that in most of your countries. He could do it in Germany, but short of that, maybe England, and there's a lot of places, you know, so.
Australia, Canada.
But I notice sometimes the students are frustrated because their grade isn't an A+, it's an A-. I'm like, just put it in perspective. You've already done a lot that a lot of people aren't gonna do. And so I wanna thank you for doing that, and I look forward to meeting you and hanging out with you guys over the course of this semester. So before we go to the students, we have our Marks IP Fellow. And what is that? People want to go teach. Sometimes they're busy working in law firms or for judges, and they can't really write, they just don't have time. So we created you created a program about 15 years ago that where the fellows will come, they're kind of like a junior professor, for 2 years, and spend 2 years here, and write, maybe teach one class, and then, like you, hopefully go off and teach at other law schools. After 2 years, we've been very fortunate. We have about 10 people placed, all but one, who went back into the government because he didn't like writing law review articles. That was totally fine. He learned that sooner than later. He also had a few children and some other family issues, so it didn't make it as convenient. And but we have professors at Georgetown, 2 at William and Mary, 2 at Baltimore, and a few other places.
And this is actually kind of the second generation, because 2 of our Marks Fellows were professors of Mary Catherine's. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And now it's really cool because they go to conferences and we get, I always tell them to take pictures because like there's 6 of them there. And we do a nice group picture and we push it out on social media.
There weren't quite as many in Berkeley this time. But hey, that's okay.
But it's fun. And it's a very successful program. And so Mary Catherine, you want to introduce yourself and your background?
So I am a DC native. I grew up in the area. I went to undergrad at Catholic University and then out to William and Mary for law school, as John said, where I was trained up by 2 professors who they trained up, so 2 generations of great
That's great.
professors
I
there.
forgot that.
Used Bob's casebook too for copyright. So, and I've been in private practice for the past 7 years. I've been a litigator. I've done trademark, copyright, false advertising, some trademark enforcement and portfolio management, including international trademark portfolio work. Most recently, I've been doing copyright litigation in the arts and entertainment industries. So I've been at large firms, small boutique firms, pretty much everywhere in between. So anything I can do to help talk to you about the job market, job possibilities, what it's like in the law firms, anything like that, I'm here to be a resource for you and help as much as I can.
Yeah, I had not appreciated that, we hire the best person we can hire. I know based on, Mary Catherine has already presented once here before and presents, as you've seen her present several times. So we're confident that she will do very well when she goes out into the market. But there is an advantage for you guys because I know a lot about patents and patent litigation. Bob knows a lot about copyrights and trademarks. But I don't know as much about copyright litigation or the market or how many jobs there are and stuff. So in the trademark side, the soft IP side, she can be a very good career resource, give you a sense and be honest. You have to be honest, and there's not that many copyright litigation jobs, and so just the fact that she had one of the best apparently copyright litigators in the country. Just to say, I don't know this person, but I know of this person. It's pretty impressive. So she could be an additional resource to you as well. So.
I did take a very non-traditional path I was at several very large law firms, and I definitely had a circuitous and winding path, so I've seen a lot of different sides of it that hopefully will be helpful. There's no one way to get into copyright and trademark especially. You sort of have to figure it out as you go along, and so hopefully I can help.
And she wrote a really cool paper that I guess she's almost finalizing and getting ready to publish about who owns public financed sculptures and art, like the Love. You don't know what the Love thing is. The Love thing in Philadelphia, the Bean in Chicago. They're financed by the city, but someone designs it. Who owns the copyright? It's really a very cool paper with great pictures, right?
And I will be teaching something next semester. TBD, still figuring it out.
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Hopefully I'll see you there.
Okay, so why don't we start with the students? Why don't we, gentlemen here on my left? Why don't we just go
Yeah, if
around?
you could just quickly introduce yourselves so we can
Where?
get to know you and each other.
No, you don't need to stand. But your name, country, what you studied, and and what you're interested in a little bit, whether it's patent law or soft IP, or if you don't know, you don't know, it's totally fine.
Yeah, thank you, Professor G. Yes, my name is Leo, and Leo Li. I'm from Shanghai, China. I've been a lawyer in the intellectual property area for maybe 50 years. And prior to that, I'm a researcher in the pharmaceutical industry, and I work in a law firm and also for the US company, Philadelphia Pharmacy Corporation. And so it's a big decision for me. I'm so excited to be here because the GWE Law had the best IP program, and so I'm very excited about that, but it's a lot for me. Thank you.
Great to have you.
Yeah, great. Shanghai is a beautiful country too.
Shanghai is a beautiful city, yeah.
Beautiful city.
You've been.
Yeah, it's like Chicago.
I have too.
It's got a big lake, got water and
Well, river. Yeah.
river. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Sonakshi. I'm from India. I am a software engineer and a lawyer, and I was a patent attorney back in India, and I worked for 3.5 years, and my main interest is patents.
Excellent. And which city in India would you?
So it's a small town near Delhi.
Okay. All right.
Went to Delhi.
I'm in Delhi.
And sir, I assume you're interested in patent law? Who's at the area? That was my guess. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I am Sarita and I am from India, and I did my master's in biotechnology, and then I worked for a few months before I came to DC. And I'm not exactly sure as to what path I need to take, because I am interested in patent, but I am also interested in the new developments that are happening in artificial intelligence. So in those aspects I am interested as of now.
So we should mention, why don't we'll talk about that. That's a good point.
Hello, I'm Maria Laura Monserrat from Argentina. I'm also a lawyer. I studied there and I work in the university as a teacher, also as a lawyer, and I practice independently. I've done a master in IP in Argentina. It was sponsored by WIPO before. So I have some knowledges, but I'm trying to take some other credits different from what I've taken before.
Excellent.
And are you more in the patent side or the soft IP side?
No, I'm just more on the copyright side.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Excellent.
Hello everybody, my name is Giovanna, I'm from Brazil. I'm a lawyer in there, and I'm working with intellectual property since 2018. And I'm more interested in trademarks and copyright, but I also want to learn more about patents and all the stuff that intellectual property bring to us. So,
Do you know the Licks attorneys firm?
yeah, I know.
Competition, huh?
Yeah.
Otto was a graduate of Yale.
I have some friends in there. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has friends with Otto.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Hi, my name is Vidhi Gandhi. I'm from India, Bombay. I have done my bachelor's in pharmacy. I did my master's in business administration. I did my law, and I'm also a student of music. So I prefer being with pharmaceutical patents and music law.
Wow. Talk about left, right brain there.
All the above.
What
Okay.
kind of music? What kind of
Indian
music?
classical music.
Classical.
Okay,
What do you play? You play?
I don't know, I'm a vocalist.
You're a vocalist. Cool.
Excellent. Are you taking my copyright class?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Perhaps we
You
can.
gonna make her sing?
Well, I'm not going to make anybody sing. However, in copyright, we do have this thing called Talent Thursdays, where students can sign up, and it's great. It's really great. It's really great. So I just offer that opportunity. I don't make anybody do anything.
I'll be there.
All right, excellent.
So good afternoon, my name is Juan Moreno. I am from Colombia, I'm an attorney in Colombia. I've been practicing transactions in the software area, and I live now in the US, and I still work in transactions in the technology area. My interest is like intersection between technology transactions, privacy, cybersecurity, and like Dean Willen, I don't have a car, but I move around in BMW, bus, metro, and walking.
I got a borrow. An Uber.
And that doesn't fit with
Doesn't fit.
BMW.
Hi everyone, my name is Diksha Pandit. I'm from Nepal, Kathmandu, and my interest
which is more trademark and copyright. Actually, I'm here to explore the patent part as well, because in my country, that part is practiced less. So I want to learn the things, I want to grab the knowledge and apply it in my country. Thank you.
Well,
Excellent, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sadaf Rahman. I am from India. I did my bachelor's of biotechnology from India. Then I pursued law, and I'm interested in patents and trademarks.
Hello everyone, I'm Agaksha, I'm from India. First, I did my bachelor's in computer science and engineering. After that, I did a degree in law, and I'm more interested in AI and patents.
Hi, I'm David from Mexico. I'm a lawyer over there. I worked in a few big firms. One was Patent actually. Then recently, 4 years ago, I opened my own firm. I run the IP area. Right now, we're more specialized in copyright and trademarks, but I would really like to re-explore the patent area and maybe get in the new AI part.
Excellent.
Hello everyone, I'm Anne. My English name is Anne and also my surname. So I come from China, Shanghai too. I'm a lawyer in my home country, and I worked for a press company for the copyright protection about the parent books. And my interest is about the copyright, but I have time conflict about the copyright law, so I selected the trademark
Unfair competition.
yes, that of course.
Yeah, we teach copyright in the fall, the spring, trademark in the spring and the fall, or vice versa. And you can tell me, we'll talk maybe one-on-one, you can share what the conflict is. We try to avoid conflicts, but sometimes they do arise.
So, okay, I will contact you.
Yeah.
That's it.
My name is Yasushi Okamoto from Japan. I work for a company for several years ago. And in this company, I work for deal with patent regulation, including ITC procedure, and I also in the company I deal with compliance and mainly software copyright and other internet matters. Then after that, I just got a license in Japanese lawyer, and after that, I work for several practice area like copyright and licensing to the fashion law and trademark application and so on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Ambassador, obvious.
Hi, I'm Henry from South Korea. I'm a JD transfer student, and I'm also an international student. And my major was in electrical engineering and biomedical engineering. I would like to interact with you guys, so I came here today.
Excellent.
We have somebody sitting in, auditing the class.
That's good.
No, I do encourage that. You know, he's a transfer student who transferred from Brooklyn, so this is all new to him as well, just like you. And we met yesterday, and I suggested, why don't you come to this if you want to meet some of the international students. But that's the cool thing at this school. We have JD students who are international students, we have LLM students who are international students, and it's a pretty cool mix of students. Given that one or two people mentioned AI, privacy, why don't we talk about that to start?
Yeah.
This is an IP LLM, and sorry, we don't yet have an LLM in privacy and technology law, but we probably will in a year or two. We've just created a new privacy and technology law program. We have a concentration for the JD students, but for the LLM, we have to prepare a big package for the ABA and get that approved, and we're in the process of trying to hire an assistant dean for privacy and technology law. But we do have a lot of classes in it. I mean, we have, you know, maybe we'll have a separate session with Dan, if he's willing, or do it on Zoom. Given we have a concentration in privacy and technology law, that on our webpage, if you look for the JD concentration, it doesn't apply to you, but it lists all the classes. So you can look at all the privacy, AI, cybersecurity classes we have, and even if you can't get an LLM in it this year, you know, all that is a label. You can just list the courses you took, and it gives the impression. And if for some reason that runs up against the credits at the IP side, you know, we can talk to each other. You know, we don't give credit for IP for all those courses, but maybe we do it for privacy until we have a program or something like that.
Right. Well, and besides, as you all know, right, you need 24 credits for
So I can talk about that.
for the you need 24 credits for the LLM. Not all of those need to be IP,
Right.
so there's some flexibility for you both to satisfy the IP requirements and to take some technology and privacy courses if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah.
So.
And really, because we didn't even have a concentration before, we used to count a couple of those courses for the IP LLM program. We count privacy law, we were counting internet law, and you can consider doing that for you as well, since we don't have two programs. We're eventually going to split them up, and just, you know, some may overlap, and both may count, but we're in the process of doing that. And, you know, if we have enough interest, maybe I'll survey how many people we get, and let's see if we get Professor Solov, who is the most cited privacy scholar in the United States, recognize the name. He's here. We become closer in the last year and a half because we've created it. You're going to see a GW Center for Law and Technology, and that includes both the IP program and the Privacy and Technology Law program. And so we'll co-brand events, and we're moving in that direction, but we're transitioning as we speak. But I'm sure you'd be happy to meet you for an office hour appointment or something. Okay, why don't we talk about the requirements? We were segueing into that. You need, 24 credits, right? That's Ms. Joshi and Andrew, and then you need 14. 14 have to be in intellectual property. 14 is not 13. And if you count wrong and come to the end of the degree program and you don't have 14, there's not much we can do. So please ask if you have questions. Occasionally a new class hasn't been on the list, so please ask. Maybe we'll put it on the list. But definitely ask, not so much now, but definitely, you know, before registration for the spring or during drop ad of the spring. And it's fine if you don't get a concentration, if you don't get an LLM and IP and just get an LLM, it's totally fine. You should do what you want, just take the classes you want, get the most out of the program you want. And two of those classes, two of those credits have to be a paper. And I forgot, 8,000 words? It's in the bulletin. The bulletin is the rules of the school. It is not my rules, it's not his rules, it's the rules of the faculty. And we can't deviate from the bulletin. So when in doubt, check the bulletin. We used to give you out a bulletin. We don't give them out on paper anymore, which I miss. But first check there, and then if you have questions, ask me. But first come to me, and we can try to answer those questions. When should you do your paper? Unless there's a course, seminar course that you really, really want to take this semester, I'd wait. Many of you are not from the United States or haven't studied in the United States before, and why not wait to do a paper into the spring after you've studied some here, and you could do a paper. A lot of interesting papers I've read are comparative between your country and another US law or something like that. You already know your law, and and I've learned a lot about other countries' laws, but you'll have lots of options. There's an IP seminar course in the spring and the fall, but there's one in the spring, taught by Chris Katopis and Terry, I forgot his last name, but it's called IP Seminar Legislative and International, and that's a good course because they have both soft IP and patent. So you can pretty much write on anything. Or don't say that to them, but you have other. Whereas Professor Keefe teaches a patent-related seminar. I think it's patent and trade, and that might, I don't know whether or not he keeps the paper just in the patent side. I just don't know. So just make sure you check. So, any questions about, and one of the classes that counts towards the 14, if you're going to be studying for the New York Bar, is property. Because New York Bar kept adding more and more credits, so most of the programs allow for one of the 1L related courses to count, and we'll talk about the bar in a few minutes. But that course does count. It's not that IP related, although I think Professor Nunziato does.
Occasionally introduces some copyright in there.
And I've heard that's happening more and more. I talked to somebody recently who, I forgot, who said their course was very IP focused. But I don't think that's traditionally the case. So, any questions about that?
Which other classes, or can we see it on the bulletin, that are not a seminar, their evaluation method is a paper?
So,
that you recommend, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So, what was?
In other words, what are the other means for getting a paper accomplished rather than this seminar that you just mentioned?
Okay, so, you want to take it? I mean, I'll start. Most papers are done at the school by LLM students to a seminar. That's why we have seminars. That's why we bring in good teachers, guest lecturers. The IP legislative class, too, brings in a lot of guest speakers from around the city. You know, somebody from the Copyright Office, somebody from the Patent Office, somebody from the ITC. So it's a good way to learn about the US IP legal system. It gets good reviews. So the majority of papers are done through seminars. This is true of JD students too, or JD students can do their seminar on the law review. And, but that's not open to the LLM students. It's for JDs, and, but that's where 95 to 99, 7% of papers. Occasionally, you can ask a faculty member if they're willing to do a one-on-one paper with you. You know, we're not going to do 20. We don't get paid to do them. And, you know, occasionally it's a student I already have for class. They already took one paper course and they want to do an independent paper course. It doesn't fit with the seminar course, but that's another option.
Right, so there is, I mean, just to expand on that, there is a course number, it's called Graduate Legal Writing, and you enroll in Graduate Legal Writing by approaching a particular professor, asking them if they would supervise you in writing a paper, and then just writing a paper with that professor, which would not be part of the seminar.
You fill out a form in the records office.
I often caution students sometimes think, oh, if I don't do it as part of a seminar, it'll be easier. It turns out it's not easier. If anything, I think you have kind of less support. If you're in a seminar, then you have a group of students who are all doing this, and you have a schedule laid out where the professor in the seminar will say, please turn in a topic proposal by September 15th, I'm just making these dates up, and an outline by October 15th, and a draft by November 15th. And so there's a structured process, and other students are working on that as well. And so it kind of moves you along with the paper. One of the dangers with doing it as an independent project is that the professor who's supervising your paper doesn't set these kind of rigid deadlines, and then you end up, it's 2 weeks before the end of the semester, and you haven't written your paper, and you're going crazy because you also have to study for finals. It's not a good thing to do. So whether you take a seminar or do a independent study with a professor, pay attention to time. Pay attention to starting working on your paper early in the semester so that you don't have that massive crunch at the end, which occurs exactly at the time when your other classes have final exams that you're studying for. Not a good thing to do. That's my unsolicited advice.
I just have a follow-up question.
Yes.
So which semester is the best time for us to do the paper, the first semester and the second?
Right, so I think as Dima, I think was trying to say, for most of you, we would recommend doing it the second semester. You know, the first semester actually may give you some ideas. I mean, throughout the first semester, you should be already thinking, I have to write a paper the second semester. What should I write it on? And then maybe in one of your courses, you hear of an interesting new development. You think, oh, that might be something I should write my paper on. And so by the time January starts and you're studying to write your paper, you actually have some ideas. Now, maybe there are one or two of you who already know exactly what they want to write about, right? And you're thinking for some reason in the spring there's something else I want to do. Like I've looked at all the courses and I've found 14 credits worth of courses I want to take in the spring. I must take in the spring. Okay, there's reasons why you might want to do it in the fall, but atypical reasons, right? Reasons that would be exceptional, I think.
And the seminar paper for IP papers, at least, is 6496. There's more than one section on that, but there's no seminar in the fall. There's basically one paper class in the fall, 6496. Same in the IP legislation and multinational course. That same course is offered in the spring. Different professors, but it's basically the same course. And there's additional seminar paper courses in the spring as well. There's no more. Professor Keith's course comes to mind. There's none in the fall. The reason we added that fall section is so some students who are graduating could get it. And believe it or not, there's some LLM students who now start in January. And so since we wanted them not to have to write the paper in the first semester, we repeated that course in the fall.
Just reconfirming, yesterday we were told that we need to write one research paper.
Correct.
So
Still
for
correct.
IP, we need to write just one, or are we supposed to write two?
Yeah, I also wanted to, that's
Yeah.
why.
Sorry,
Thank you.
one paper. One paper,
It just
one
has to be
paper,
an IP.
2 credits,
Yes.
one paper.
Thank you.
But on an IP topic.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
we haven't talked about this, but I think given we don't have a privacy and technology law LLM yet, I think we would view IP tangential to privacy and technology law. And if you have a question about the paper, does it count or not count with the topic, just ask. Okay. So why don't we look at the courses?
One more question. Sorry.
No, I
Or
just
maybe
want-
2 more questions, yeah.
Sorry, sir. I just wanted to understand the IP and technology law clinic. What kind of activities happen in the clinic and what kind of evaluations happen in the
So
6
that's
credits
a good question.
clinic?
The IP and the technology law clinic is 6 credits. That's a lot of credits. And I think you work 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
And you're going to do US patent applications, US trademark applications, copyright work.
There's not much copyright work.
Not much copyright work.
But
But they do a lot of trademark stuff, they do a little patent stuff, and it's run by a very good professor, Lolita Darden. We created this clinic a few years ago, and she helped create it and run it. She's done a great job. Since it's really about practice, it's competitive, so I don't think there are any slots open for the fall. And if you really want to do it in the spring, I suggest you go meet Professor Darden, explain your experience. If it's, you can come to me, and if you already have some experience. We did have, I don't know if we had a student last year, but there was a student who was clearly capable given their significant experience. I think it was in India, and worked on patent specs for some of the major U.S. companies. But those slots are we don't have enough clinics for all the students, so that's a competitive thing. And I would suggest, if you're thinking of doing it in the spring, you get everything as best you can apply, get to know her so she knows who you are, as opposed to just another student and a resume.
Yes.
Talk about the clinics. I know there's a lot of credits, so it's something really hard for us, for LLM students.
Yeah.
And I want to know if it's possible, like, be in the class, not be registered for the class, but be in the class and talk to the professor. I don't know, make something that, because I believe that it's important for us also being in the class that you do like practical things. So I don't know if it's possible not be registered for the class, but stay in the class or do some activities. I don't know.
I mean, in terms of sort of auditing a class, that is to say, sitting in on it, but not sitting for the exam, that's something that you would have to approach each professor about. But most professors I know are perfectly open to that. I certainly am open to that, so that's not a problem. I think it would be very hard to sit in on a clinical situation, because they're actually representing clients, and it's not like they're just sitting, in that empty seat right there. There's a client negotiations going on, and to have somebody extra in the room who's not part of the client situation would be a little tough. So I doubt that you could sit in on the clinical situation, but on other classes for sure.
Right. The clinic is unique, and it's run like the clinics. And I'm not as familiar with it as regular class. It's somewhat new. There is a course associated with it. There's a lecture for 2 hours. That's why that's on the schedule. But there's a lot of extra time that the students are working on it. And so I don't want to deceive you. It's not just 2 hours. And if your question was, could you take that class for not credit and then just not do any of the other stuff? I don't know. I don't think that's typically done. I don't know how big the rooms are. Clinics are limited to 8 students. If there's an adjunct professor helping, they can expand to 12 a semester, but they're pretty limited.
I mean, they're essentially little law firms with one partner and a whole bunch of associates.
Yeah, and what you should understand is, I'm not suggesting no LLM can take the class, but it's 6 credits.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot of credits. Yeah. And, of the 14 of you, 10 of you have worked. You already have some experience. The clinics are mainly for students who don't have experience. Now, your experience is in your country, not here. I understand that. But, you try to offer the things to the people that really do need it to start. What I would do if I was you, I think, would be try to take the courses and learn the theory, and then, if you can do some OPT afterwards in a more practical environment, not a school environment for 6 credits, that would probably be even a better combination. I know OPT is not the easiest thing to get, but that's what I would recommend. Yeah. So we're running a little late, so why don't we just go through the courses? I'm happy to say afterwards, if you gotta go, no problem. So I'm just gonna skip through the courses. We can't, it's already 5 minutes. Does anybody have to go at 6? Good thing the party's not starting at 6 next week. We have a lot to talk about. So why don't we just look at the fall? I'm sorry I don't have a list of all this in top to bottom yet. But computer crime is computer crime. It's taught by, I think, one thing about the professors. We have 2 categories of professors that teach courses. We have full-time professors, Professor Brown Eyes, Mary Catherine, Scott Keefe, Dawn Nunziato, me, and then we have what we refer to as part-time or adjunct professors who usually teach 1 course, and they are experts in their field. So we have a judge from the ITC co-teaching a course on the ITC. We have a judge at the Federal Circuit teaching a course on the Federal Circuit. A judge who was on the Federal Circuit was a district court litigator, district court judge teaching a course on IP litigation. So we go find the best people that are really good at what they do. They're doing it to donate to the students. They're not usually doing it for the money. We don't pay them that much money. But there's two groups. And just as computer crime, Professor Dickey is, I think, in the Department of Justice Computer Crime Division, or he was, because that's who I recruited somebody who used to work there to teach the class. So we really do reach out and find the right people. But that might be interested to some of the people that are interested in computer criminal stuff. Sports law is going to be a good course. I know the new professor, I forgot her name, but she's almost a full-time professor here, even though I don't think she quite is. But
Is it Melissa Brown?
yeah.
Yeah.
And she is really put together, I think, a fun new course that does count to IP. Copyright law, Professor Brown Eyes.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, never heard. The clinic we mentioned. Patent law is being taught by John Golden. His name's not on there, I should have added it, sorry. John Golden is a professor at Texas who is going to come and teach for us for the semester. He's well regarded. He's a former Supreme Court law clerk. He's very well known in the field. You can look up his Texas bio page. This is done in law schools where people come and want to teach and check out DC, and we're happy to have him, so he will be here teaching. And that's going to be a 4-credit class, just so you know, because he was teaching a 4-credit class in Texas and didn't want to redo. So,
Professor. Yeah, I noticed in the course the patent law, it says and it best suit for the student without patent background, and we have some experience, and I'm not sure whether I'm still fit for this course.
I'm sorry?
I mean, for the patent law.
It said it was best for students who don't have experience.
Yes.
In patent law?
Yeah. Its description.
I'll look. Let me look after. Let's talk about it after.
I mean, that's somewhat surprising to me.
Yeah.
Somewhat surprising to me.
No. It may say you don't have to have a technical background. There's no prerequisite for a technical background. And of course, a lot of students who take the course don't have a technical background. If you have knowledge of patent law in your country, trust me, the U.S. patent law is going to be different. It's different.
I would love to do that.
I had a patent examiner once tell me they're not going to take patent. They're not going to take patent law.
No.
And in about 30 seconds, I'm like, do you know anything about venue jurisdiction, damages, infringement? They said, I'm going to take a course. Let me keep going. Patent enforcement is a patent litigation-related course. They walk you through U.S. patent litigation. I think it's a pretty well recognized course. Information privacy law, that's Dan Solo's class.
No, but it's
I'm sorry. It's Professor Solo Niederman. She's also an expert in AI. She will be teaching an AI course. That's not on here, but you may want to look that up. The Federal Circuit is a court that hears all the patent cases plus a bunch of other stuff. And Judge Stoll, a current judge on the Federal Circuit, teaches a course on that. There's the seminar. That's the paper seminar. And trade secret law is about trade secrets, and that's a well-received course as well. Enforcement of IP at the ITC, that's an ITC patent litigation course. Trademark is taught in the fall, and at night, and Professor Brown Eyes will teach it in the spring. That course I know is taught by Professor Lynch, who I know well. She's a judge at the TTAB. She's excellent. I hired her.
And the TTAB is the Administrative Trademark Tribunal in the Patent and Trademark Office. So,
and she's very talented. She could do patents too. She worked in the solicitor's office with me, and I'm happy she's teaching the class. Patent strategies and practice is really more of a patent prosecution course. Drafting patents, claims, things like that. Government procurement of IP is pretty specialized. It's more of a government contract course since it involves IP. We give credit. Internet law. Spring. When you see selected topics in IP law, it means it's just an IP class and we haven't decided to give it its own number. We probably should do that maybe before the spring. I'll work on that.